Hey, Keith. Hey, Keith. Hey, Keith. Keith. Keith, Dr. Klassner. Hey, Dr. Keith Klassner. Hey, Keith. We gotta get this rolling here, dude. Are you him? You're different from the last guy who pushed me out the door. How many people are looking to see a linguist of all professions? Honestly. At this point, with everything that we have done so far, of going like, yeah, we want to get things going, and you are the last possible place that we can honestly go, and going like, okay, you're going to wait a month. Well, that just means we have to get around it. There's only so much we can go gallivanting around doing other private actions like we have been doing. We need to poke into social relations. Now, if you don't have Presses in your party, the conversation kind of ends there, but if you do have her, you actually get some sort of direction. Like, you can talk to the guy on the south side of town by Presses' house who talks about, hey, go to Bowman's pharmacy, but hearing it directly from Presses makes it a little bit more obvious that you should go over to Bowman's pharmacy and possibly talk with him or her, because last time we were there, oh, it is someone different. Last time it was someone named Nina. So this is Bowman. Okay. It's also great that that clock back there is just at a perpetual 2:30. It'll be right twice a day. It's amazing how much fuss they make about Cross Cave. I hear Cross Cave is one of the most dangerous places anyone could go. Wow, the standards are so high, seeing as Cross Cave is the first dungeon of the game. Like, wow, you really went in there, huh? You must be great. Except Bowman doesn't think that. Welcome to the Prove Your Worth section of Second Story. The Sanctuary of Linga, a holy place where herbalists have long been able to obtain many rare herbs that serve well in medicines, but hasn't been completely explored, so there's so many more things in there that have never been discovered before. So if we go deep into the sanctuary, much like we did with the cave, we better be able to find something that's really good. Or, you know, the door to the Netherworld, supposedly. Very serious. Very. We got nothing better to do. We have exhausted so much. So I guess we're just gonna have to take a trip out and do some cave diving. Even his pharmacy isn't even that good. He doesn't even come with any berries that we could buy. Like, sure, we can get cure stuff from him, but that's it. But wow, it sure has been a while since we've done any actual direct combat. So yeah, it's this big door way into the cave right over here. Ah, the Sanctuary of Linga. Well, we might be done. He's never seen a lavender before, has he? It's not like he sells the thing. So, what would happen if we would just to head back with the lavender and just see him and go, look what we found. This is enough in order to get us to see Keith, right? Yes. Yeah, if you're honestly not even paying attention, Bowman's just going to refuse it. Head back in, go even deeper. There are only 2 things you can actually bring back to Bowman. But as long as you bring back one of them, then, hey, you're good to go. Now, the Sanctuary of Linga. From a design standpoint, this is actually fascinating to me because, again, I've been really criticizing the pacing of this game, especially when you're looking at comprehensively going through everything that you possibly can as you go. And it's fascinating how this is the second dungeon of the game. After everything we have done, this is the second dungeon. We've done Cross Cave, and there's really nothing else that you are forced to do until the Sanctuary. You could consider the Mountain Palace to be the second dungeon, but seeing it's a completely optional, or the Lascus Mountains, those are completely optional. Nothing else is forcing you to go there. So, the Sanctuary of Linga it is. Dungeon 2. It's also here where we all get some really good abilities. Like, Opera gets one of her best abilities, long-term, Alpha on 1. Pretty much you just have to slap it on and you're good to go with her, except for the fact that it is very expensive to use. At this point, she's only able to use it about 5 times before she runs out of MP. Burst Knuckle for Claude is, alright when he decides to use it. Right now, I also have Head Splitter still equipped, so he prefers to go with Head Splitter more than Burst Knuckle, but he'll use it sometimes. It's a nice just punch that Claude will use at close range. There are quite a few herbs that are just littered around the place, and you won't know what they are until you pick them up, which means that if you're trying to look for the very best option, you are less inclined to pick up random things. On top of this, the Sanctuary of Linga is also fascinating to me because seeing it's the mandatory second dungeon, and you probably haven't been doing a lot of fighting because there's really no incentive to do so, it kind of has to serve as a balancer to level and difficulty. So there's a bunch of enemy groups in this dungeon which can completely mess with you. Well, the Might Chain is not going to be working well with her, but the Might Chain is a lot better on Claude. Almost an extra 100 attack. That'll be great for him. So at the very least, when it comes to level, if you weren't doing any grinding on the world map, you would probably be around level 15-ish by the time you get to the Sanctuary, which means, yeah, you're going to have a hard time going through this place in the beginning. Hoping for very specific kinds of fights. By the time you're done with this dungeon, you're most likely going to be nearing or around level 30. Now, these bunnies can be really annoying to deal with, but Cressus and Opera are both really good for fighting these enemies because of their ability to actually attack aerial enemies. Since the bunnies are bouncing around all the time, Opera and Princess having a specific standard attack which actually shoots upwards is very helpful. Gravity press. The upgrade to press. And this is the place where we're going to get a lot of good abilities for a bunch of characters. And a lot of useless herbs. The other thing about this dungeon is because, well, seeing as it has to get you caught up in terms of levels, as I switch out Princess's abilities, I'm going to use Mole and Alley-oop. Alley-oop is kind of another one of Princess's kind of go-tos. There, it's a super simple ability. The encounter rate in this dungeon is a little absurd, tuned a little bit high. But if you want to get out of here, this is your first opportunity to do so. The Clarasage is one of the 2 herbs that you can get in this place and be done with the Sanctuary. If you're one of those people who would just like randomly wants to do a low level run, this keeps it generally low. So what actually happens when you bring back the Clarasage? Well, you can show it to Bowman. Have we passed the test? Ooh. So this would be like the equivalent of maybe getting like a C, maybe a C+ on a test here, where it's like, it's rare. You've done better than a bunch of other people, apparently. I guess Bowman does this on occasion. And it is enough for you to continue with the story. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to really mine the depths of this place. So we gotta go deeper. And it is crazy how many encounters you actually get into this place here. You can do something about the encounter rate if you have some specific abilities on characters, but right now we don't have those abilities yet. So you just have to deal with them. Unless you're lucky enough to get them, but right now, neither of my playthroughs have borne much fruit in that regard. Yeah, this is another dungeon where it's like, okay, we're really going through MP like crazy. Gotta watch our blackberry supply. You love the music? It is such a wonderful piece of music. It's not. I can take it or leave it. To the point where it feels like it just really goes over my brain, and I'm not really thinking about it too much. Yeah, even with Rena, like, I'm really making sure that she has MP so that she can heal our people. Because now that she has Gravity Press and a couple other abilities as well, she really likes still using Energy Net, but it's a really good skill in a pinch for some of these enemies who do a lot of physical damage. Now, the thing about going deeper without picking up the Clarasage is that there's more than one herb in here that can become the Clarasage. And once you pick it up,
behind me,
a couple of things happen. One, you pick up one Clarasage, you will never pick up another one. And the second thing is, if you pick up a Clarasage, you won't pick up the better herb that you can get in this dungeon. Switching over to Ashton as well, I was trying to just work on some of his other skills. Piercing swords kind of being one, because I want him to be a little bit more of a long-range user. But it also shows his weaknesses in a lot of his skills. Piercing swords, he has to weirdly charge up a lot of time in order to throw them. And whoa. Oh, easy. Oh, there was Claude for a second. Oh, no. Can gravity press. Okay. Camera came back for it. Can I... Nope. Camera, goodbye. Are we good? Okay, we're good. We're good. Everything's fine. I don't know what happened there with the camera. That rarely happens. This is a very stable game in that regard. The only thing I can think of is that the camera got hung up on one of the stalactites, which is an environmental hazard for this specific area in its battlefield. Now that we're into the northern part, giant skeleton. And over here, of all places, is what we're looking for. The dill whip. Like, really, you never knowed it was that. Seeing as there was a similar screen to the south. Well, you call it the dill whip. There's no pickles on Expel? I love the idea of the giant skeleton. And there's even, like, tiny skeletons right next to it. Like, you want your evidence of giants, there you go. The straight punch, of all things in a treasure chest, is an upgrade for process. So, you know, why would it be in this kind of area here? In the past, I never really gave it much thought in terms of why this place was considered a sanctuary, because in terms of the overall color, mood, tone, and the amount of just monster skeletons, especially dragons, that are around here, I'm like, what is this a sanctuary for? Really couldn't be sure there. Giants, dragons, just no good. No good at all. The twin edge that's in this chest is really good for Ashton. You know, if I didn't already get one. Oh well, it was helpful for him because a bunch of the times Ashton, if I wasn't directly controlling him, he would be dead. Now, thing is, we are really running out of blackberries, and it's really annoying in order to just like leave the dungeon, go back into town, stock up on supplies, and get that done. However, there is a skill that we can get if a character has the love of animals ability on him, is that talent. Combining two of our skills onto our nearly full list here, again, we're only missing one, and it's going to be a while before we find that one, is animal training. Tame and train animals. It's one of the two that we're needing. And then the other one is whistling, because we need to get the attention of the animal, which gives us the specialty Familiar. Sends an animal to shop for you when you're deep in a dungeon or other such place. It's really good for picking up just regular things. Now, the first thing that a lot of people do with Familiar is just level it up to level 10, because it's generally cheap in order to max out this ability, and apart from very specific reasons, you kind of want it to be at level 10. For instance, it starts at level 2, which is an odd one to start with. And at level 2, you're not guaranteed to get an animal first try. At level 2, you get a dove, which gives you your berries that we so desperately need. So if you ever need to get any restoratives, in terms of basic restoratives anyways, blueberries, blackberries, and such, you totally can. Send the dove off, and it'll come back. At level 3, you get a raven. Different bird, different store. Probably the least good store as well, because the rose hips, the wolfsbane, the lavender, we pick those things up, especially in this dungeon, so they're not really that good. And the flare bomb, you can leave it. At level 5, you get access to the stork. The stork is a little better. Would love the berries still. like a mind bomb, which is like, okay. Mandrake, which we've been picking up and killing mandrakes in order to get mandrakes, but they do have resurrection bottles. And each of these birds do have their own special sprite, if you're really caring about that. At level 7, you get access to the hawk, which, if you are someone who is using the cooking specialty, this is the one you kind of want to have because it gives you all of the standard stuff, just in case you run out of anything. But at level 10 is arguably the best one, the eagle. What the eagle gives you is a combination of the dove and stork stores, but not everything from the stork. So it gives you the berries once again, which is probably the most helpful, obviously there. It also gives you access to spring water, which is pretty much a remedy in this game's case, as well as the resurrection bottles. The higher you get in the familiar skill, the faster the animal will also come back to you. The dove takes quite a while in order to come back, but then you get all the way up to the eagle, and it takes about 10 seconds, and then you're just restocked and ready to go. So, is there a reason for you to have the different levels of familiar? Yes, if you're someone who is very specific about what kind of items you want. A lot of people, when they go into the skills and just have whistling and animal training as one of the last abilities in order to max out, just tend to max it out with any thought whatsoever. But it is helpful to keep a specific level on a particular character. Even more, like, look at that giant skeleton. That one doesn't even have a head, or at least it's over there. Oh boy.
They look pretty tough.
So this is the optional boss of the sanctuary, the Thessayers, as I try to pronounce the name of them. If you are coming into this fight relatively cocky, there's a chance that you could lose this fight, because this boss, while not particularly difficult, can do a very difficult thing to deal with, which is, you saw that Rena got eaten? Yeah, they eat your party members. It pretty much serves as a kind of eject from this. It kind of almost like, also, if I want to do another comparison, like the likes in Ocarina of Time, where they eat Link and take your shields. In this case, they eat the character and hold on to them. If everybody gets eaten, then the game is over, and you lose the fight. Oh, great, Claude, thank you. Oh, at least I got that resurrection bottle. I can use one on them. They also do poison, but poison is pretty easy to deal with there. It's the fact that they can eat you that is also a problem there, which doesn't help for close-range fighters.
Weaker than I thought.
If you keep yourself on them, though, at least on a specific side of them where the mouth isn't, then it is easier to deal with.
Wow, you look strong.
So we're going to try round 2, and you'll see in this one how it's a lot easier to deal with when you have long-ranged attackers. I also swapped Celine in for this one. Technically, they are weak to the light element there, so Rena learning Light Cross is pretty helpful, especially when dealing with just crowd control in general. I like controlling Cressus because when it comes to her, a lot of her close range stuff is relatively slow, so she is most likely to get eaten. But if push comes to shove, I can just have her use alley-oop. That keeps her out of harm's way. And it becomes generally simple in order to deal with. Again, Opera is going to be using Alpha on 1 if you have it, which, if you've been doing any amount of fighting in order to get to this point, you will. Almost guaranteed, unless you just don't have her in the party. So yeah, these guys are just difficult because
Flame launcher.
they
Like
don't
rock.
look very threatening. And then when you put your guard down, chances are you're going to be in for a little more difficult
Flame
time.
launcher. Yeah, energy arrow. Small. I
What a
win.
lovely use of Bobot right there. You get more Calcum
I'm so
from
happy.
them, same as the bandits there. The Damascus is actually a lot more beneficial in order to get, however. So yeah, Bowman mentioned the door to the Netherworld. And this is kind of the place where the door technically is. Although by door to the Netherworld, it's not a literal thing. It's just the threat of death and being eaten by those things. A natural harvest ground? And out of context, that Precious' line makes no sense. So maybe we need to get a little bit more context from the other side. Maybe Ashton can help us out there? Again, this group is supposed to be an investigation team. But we're just throwing ideas like darts, and we have no dartboard anywhere for them to hit. Doubtful. And again, what kind of sanctuary is this? Well, couldn't create a sanctuary like this unless you were a god. But get Precious' dad on the case, he can absolutely build a place like this. A very unpleasant hell. And with that, there's nothing more to the sanctuary, so you just have to make your way out of there. Overall, it is a strange dungeon. It's more serving for utility than it is for actually, I don't know, telling something cohesive. Now, because we're coming back with the Dill Whip this time, we have no idea what it is, but Bowman also doesn't know, and that's a good thing. No. And we don't care. We want to see Keith. We're a bit one-track mind right now. We haven't done anything else. Cool, but we want to see a linguist. We must share this to the world. We have an academic discovery here. Now, no. Even though Bowman does come with us, he's technically not in the party. Although, you know, based on his sprite, he looks like he's ready to punch anything that gets in his way. Like, look what he has equipped on his arms. Aw, he shares my he shares my sentiments. I also There you go. Oh, it's the other guy. Geez, he is fancy. He has 2 assistants. That is a throwaway flavor text that we got into the university, but yeah, Bowman is technically a professor, or at least I guess a doctor. He does have his PhD, assumedly, but he's not the academic type. Ah, finally. Finally, we can move forward with this whole thing. It's another strange, tiny detail that they put into the whole thing, where it's just like, okay, if you come here before the tournament, you're greeted with the first one. And then when it's time to actually meet Keith, you're met with the second assistant. Man, there he is. Hello. The way that the illusion of the whole room there feels like, okay, we have a jutting out desk. We don't get the feeling that there's a wall where the door is. Also, check out that door handle. That is... It's almost like you can completely pull it out of the door. In a snit, you say? Cross Cave? The most dangerous place in the world? Jeez. Only found some gargoyles inside of there. Here, I've had these ancient writings just crumpled into my back pocket, so they're a little bit crinkly, sorry. No, we haven't been taking too much care. Watershed discuss... Ooh, it's some big thing. Now, I took a look to see, it's like, okay, they mentioned ancient Labar. There is no actual connection to that word being used there. Even when it was retranslated and changed from ancient Labar to Rabbanic, there isn't even a connection there. So wherever that name came from, I don't have any information for that. It seems to just be, well, made up. But at least we'll get these translated here. Oh, what a good time. Now, how long is it going to take in order to get those things translated? It's called a sleepover process, I'm sure. Nope, probably she hasn't had one. Nope, never mind. Now, Celine says this when you bring in the Clarisage, but she will say something different when you bring the Dill Whip in. But not before Reno chastises us. Tell someone before... You need to text someone that you're going to be home when you get home, okay? Before we do that, though, I like, depending on the situation here, Bowman is either in the room with the beds or the room on the left, which is his own private room. Now he's over here, which means, unfortunately, this is kind of the end of the road for Bowman here. The reason is, we picked up Presses already. If we did not pick up Presses, he would be in the left room. You're hardly prepared. Despite everything that we have done, in terms of the progression of the story here, we still know next to nothing about what's going on. The whole point of coming to Liqueur is to gain more information, and that really hasn't happened yet. Okay, now we have the position where we don't have Presses in our party. Sometimes you need something to reinvigorate your work when you've been doing the same thing or for a specific client. Now, Bowman weirdly says a dinner last night. So this is insinuating we've been here for a couple days, waiting for this to be translated. I don't know if that's just a missed thing or if it's intentional. But we already have one. Nope, he's talking about himself. Bowman, 27 years old, quarter-life crisis, wants to go on an adventure, knows things about medicines and herbs, wants to be away from his wife? Question mark? Let's take him with us. So, like with Ashton and Oprah, if you take one, you can't take the other. If you take Presses, you can't take Bowman. If you take Bowman, you can't take Presses. So, that's how we're splitting it up. We get to put him onto Rena's team. And he's so excited to be able to go on a journey. Oh, man. Again, from the tiny bits of flavor text that we can get about Bowman, he doesn't want to be sitting in this town. So how is Nina going to take this? A rare moment of seeing them in bed, too. Well, it's nice that we get that scene. A lot of other places would just go, well, you can think about how well it's going to go. Which leads to two different scenes depending on whether you take him or not. Like, for all the time that we've spent with Bowman so far, like, him kind of seeing us off here, I don't know, it feels weird. But I guess he got in our way. And we've spent a couple days with him in terms of just like overall game in-game time. So a small relationship would have been made. So our next destination, head back to Liqueur, because the reason why it's been a few days in Linga is because, hey, now we can go and see the king. He should be available for an audience now. And from there, we can get off to L, maybe? But we're taking him along. So that means He has to get his stuff in order. Even though you just did. Why do I have the feeling it's not going to be that easy? Oh, do not do that. Do not do that. We know what a piece of the sorcery globe can do. That's like the only thing we know what it does. Five on each team now. Pretty even. We're not able to get anything from Bowman's Pharmacy, regardless of whether or not we have Bowman in our party or not, until we ultimately leave the town. But Bowman, he's a pretty ordinary guy, all things considered. Like Bowman Jean. Sure, he's a dude. He's a 27-year-old dude who... Oh, we got originality, and we also got Sixth Sense. We don't have a character who has this yet, which means that we can get a good specialty, specifically with Bowman. Hopefully I can get someone else on the other team to have Sixth Sense as well. In terms of his skills, he does start with enough that I can get him Perseverance at least. But because of who he is, he also starts with Compounding. So if we ever want to make medicines of our own, he starts with a little bit of it. Now, Bowman I put on this team because, one, I needed a space for him. Two, he's another puncher, much like Renna is. He shares some equipment with Renna, but not all of them. He does have specific things that are for him. And he doesn't use magic like Renna does, but he does have some pretty decent abilities that he starts off with. Because the first thing I can say about him is he leaves a good first impression. We'll get to see what that's all about once we leave town. Start with showing off Spirit Attack and Poison Pills, and then we'll swap out to Pillory and Firebird Attack. Because Bowman, to be very honest, is one of my least used characters whenever I play this game. He's just kind of unremarkable in that regard. Not to say that he's bad, but when I look at other combinations, he doesn't really fit with anything else that I'm trying to work with.
The enemy. Heads up.
So, Bowman, he punches. Simplest thing about him. But when he uses his actual skills, that's where things are a little bit more interesting with him, because while I've been complaining about things being slow, Bowman is a lot faster with things. And his skills actually combo with each other pretty well. Poison Pills going into a Spirit Attack works very well.
We have a full score with this.
He also has a little bit of character flair in terms of his finishing pose. Pillory, though, is fun. It's similar to Head Splitter, except if he's long range, he will sink into the ground and then land on top of the enemy that he's targeting. Physically impossible, but super cool in order to work with. Firebird Attack is him just kind of throwing fireballs at people. Like, look at that pose. Oh, he's trying so hard to be cool. He'll dive bomb enemies. Like, it's silly. Some of his abilities are just fun. And I kind of get that from him as a character who's pretty pretty unremarkable. And he just wants to be cool.
We did it! Score with this.
I am full of focus and determination. So with that, we're going to be exploring a little bit of Linga before we go. But next time, hey, we get to head back to Liqueur. We get to see the king. See you next time, everyone.